If you meet Galileo, what would you ask him? What difference does it make in rural India to open astronomy labs?
You won't believe that I have a kid in 5th, 6th grade and she accessed a telescope while sitting in a village. She captured a picture of white dwarf, which European Space Agency used. It has now become little easy to discover asteroids.
So for our audience, if they have to find an asteroid, can you just describe the process? What do they have to do? India spends around 12,500 crores on ISRO. Why do you think this figure is justified?
The first thing I would say, it should be little double, around 20-25,000. There's always a myth that people from IIT get a direct entry. I will tell you, majority of the people who are working at ISRO are none of them from IIT. Rarely I've seen bureaucrats who ask for money. And the only people who have asked me for money are state civil officers, which belong from the state, not from UPSC.
Today we have someone with us who reminds me of the word opportunity. A lot of people think that in India, there are very few opportunities and that stops them from pursuing their dreams. But then there are some examples in front of us. They create an opportunity and you, such a young age, have created such a big opportunity for yourselves that you had a chance to work with the PMO, which is a dream for everybody. So welcome Aryan Mishra, also known as Fiddling Stars. So you were just saying that this is your first podcast and you got a lot of invites and you have never said yes to any.
Because I actually wanted my first podcast to be little more intelligent talks.
Okay.
I will be very honest. I don't like the concept of podcast which is currently going in India. I never watch any like Indian podcast guys.
What do you not like about it? Let's start with something controversial.
I think the person who's taking the guy who's sitting in front of me, we should do a proper research about who I am. At least what field do I belong to?
Correct.
So the question should be, little triggering. That it should trigger
something that stimulates you.
Yeah, stimulates me.
It should not be surface level questions.
And I find you, both of you, intelligent. So yeah.
And wow, the pressure is on us, guys. So yeah. So the last time I checked, you have opened 150 astronomy labs all over India. How outdated is that number, firstly?
Now it is actually 210.
Firstly, why astronomy labs? What difference does it make in rural India to open astronomy labs?
If you see the word astronomy labs, it technically people think that, it's the whole lab is dedicated towards learning space science. But the beauty of it, so when I went to panchayats in building these, I realized that the audience they are fascinated by stars. They want to look at the telescope. But moreover, they don't have the basic amenities to teach science.
Okay.
So my lab is it covers biology, physics, chemistry.
So what all happens in a astronomy lab?
Let me tell you how we build it.
Correct.
Let's start from there. So basically, I work with district administrations. Let's take an example of a district called Bijnor in UP.
Okay.
Right. So in Bijnor, I reached out to the chief development officer. Now that's an IAS officer.
Okay.
We find Nyaya Panchayats. A Nyaya Panchayat it's like a small division of Gram Panchayats.
Okay.
So we find those Nyaya Panchayats, the bigger Panchayat. So there are two types of funds which comes to Panchayats. One comes from central government and one comes from state government. The funds which come to village depends on multiple categories. But moreover, it is about how big is the village.
Okay.
Right? Then we look for a 450 square feet room in the village. Then majority of the room, we need to do the refurbishment.
Okay.
Which is done by the panchayat.
Okay.
So which are 2 coats of putty, 2 coats of primer, then they give us furniture.
Okay.
After that, my team comes.
Okay.
So I have artists from Bombay who travel all the way to those villages. They go, they do their paint work. Then we give the theme of spacey effects and something very interesting that if
something is
goes,
attractive.
Wow. Yeah, attractive. Yeah. There should be an environment,
Correct.
Right. So for example, if we are doing this podcast, there is an environment of cameras and everything. So I know that, I am in a zone of shooting something.
Correct.
So after the painting work, then we set up the equipments. Now there are 70 equipments.
Okay.
Out of which 43 are working model, which means teacher has to use their hands to use that model. It's not you put the electric switch on, it will start. No.
It's not like one button push. It's not something that it is interactive.
Yeah. So out of 70 models, 43 of them are working models.
Okay.
Right? And out of which only 4 of them run on electricity.
Okay.
So we have made it in such a manner that majority of the equipments, they do not need electricity.
So do you work in areas where there is no electricity
Absolutely.
as well? All right.
I have labs in like labs which are far from city, which are 80-90 kilometers.
Okay.
Even the district magistrate of that district has never gone to those villages. So it basically then equipment work is done, everything is done, then the teacher training happens, that which I do. We go and we spend like 3 hours with school teachers. We spend them, we teach them the apparatus, how does it work, how do you have to insert something, how do you have to plug in, everything. That is done. After that, we tell the teachers, select 5 good caliber students who can come and take over the lab. We call them as Khagoldoots. Doot means messenger. Right. So we call them Khagoldoots. Those 5 students, so after 2 months, when you go to that lab, you will have 5 kids who will like give you the tour. It's like an innovation plus knowledge center. I get a lot of videos where I'm seeing they're not only learning astronomy or sciences, but there is a TV also in the lab.
Okay.
Now they're learning ABCD.
Okay.
K, Kh, G and all that on the TV. So that digital education also played a role here. So what the teachers are doing that, they are playing the videos, like informative videos, and students are making notes of it.
So let's go back to the first astronomy lab that you opened.
Yeah.
What was the resistance that you faced? Because in a country like India, whenever we are starting something new, we face a lot of resistance. The question is not what, the question is why.
There's this one bureaucrat who got in touch with me and said that we let's do this one, the first village. People were actually hesitant. So when I told them it's astronomy lab, it's in Hindi it's known as Khagon Vigyan Prayogshala. Khagol means astronomy, Vigyan means science, Prayogshala lab, like astronomical science lab, something like that. So after that, what happened? So people were more worried that this lab will only run in night.
Oh.
Not in day.
Okay.
But the school works in daytime.
Correct.
Teacher got little pressured. Up, like now we have to come in night. So the pressure was on the teacher. Now we have to come in night. We come from we are coming from 25 kilometers. How we will manage and all that. Then I literally did not mention to anybody that there are so many things. So when the door got opened, people came up. They realized majority of the content in the lab is covering the syllabus that they have.
Okay.
So now the excuse of teachers, I would not call it excuse, but also the system pressure on them, that they do not have the equipment to make it understand a kid. Like there's a chapter called Hamara Sharir, our body, where a teacher is explaining how does the nervous system works, how does the digestive system works. Now a kid does not know how does a large intestine, small intestine, heart, ear, kidney does looks. How does it? I have a model, like a live model, where teacher can open the kidney, like apparatus where you can point out every single. You can open the heart, you can show left artery vein, right artery vein. So it's more that they have to open it. They have to just point it. And then there is a chart which is made, which is explaining which part is what. Then there is a digital content to it. There is a QR code there. Scan it. There's a video will play on the TV. It will explain you in Hindi and English both.
So it's not just about astronomy, it's not just about space, it's not limited to space. Space becomes a front to attract students because students get attracted. The designs are very nice. It doesn't feel like a school. It does not
if I call it, we are making a science lab. Science lab is everywhere. But if I say we are making an astronomy lab, you will take 2 seconds to think, what does an astronomy lab has? Let's go.
Correct.
So, so people will be more,
It becomes an experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So moreover, what happens here is that I right now I get a lot of videos and so many things that now students are making the same models on their own by waste materials what we have given in the lab.
Oh, wow.
So this has been little, game changer side for us.
But overall, how enthusiastic are people to visit the labs or to be a part of the labs? I mean, is there any sort of competition to be those 5 Khagoldoots?
We made a badge, like a monitor. When we in school, we get monitor. We wrote Khagoldoots. And we gave them a special bag of Khagoldoots. There are 300 students, but 5 students have a different bag, a space, like a bag which has written Khagoldoots of this school, and it is there is a galaxy which is made on the bag. Now that bag, everybody would like to have it. Only 5 students can have it. Now there is a competition.
Okay.
So, you are Khagoldoots, but what is special in you? You have a special bag. It's a healthy competition.
Okay.
It's a very healthy competition. There's no exam for it. It's just a kid should be eager to know. You won't believe that I have a kid in 5th, 6th grade, and she accessed a telescope while sitting in a village called Mukundgadi in Bulandshahr. It's very rural place, around 80 kilometers from Delhi only. And she has an access to a telescope in the UK. And she captured a picture of white dwarf, which European Space Agency used it.
Wow.
Now imagine, majority of the population in village are farmers, laborers, approximately 70%. And majority of them have never seen a telescope. First of all, never ever imagined that that the moon like they can see from the telescope.
Okay.
So their perspective towards education changes.
Okay.
I remember a block development officer told me that because of this lab, teachers have started respecting students because
Wow.
they did not know that students have the capability to learn.
So basically, in your experience, Indian students are curious. They want to learn. They just need the resources to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. We always make sure that rather than teaching the teacher how to use a telescope, it's better to teach a student.
Usually, what is the reaction of people when they see the moon for the first time, up close?
They always say one thing, that Chanda Mama nahi hai wahan pe. Sab gadde hain.
Sab gadde hain. It's a very strange reaction.
Yeah. So
Alright.
so basically it's all stories that they have always read.
Huh.
So nobody has ever. So they thought that there is somebody sitting there because kids have started. In villages there are a lot of stories, different kinds of stories. So when they look at the moon, when they look at the craters, I remember there's a kid who then they started making sketches also. So they are very fond of, because see, they don't have access of phone.
Okay.
But for them, the memory is to sketch that
Okay.
they did this work. So the experience has been, for many people, it has been life-changing.
By opening all these astronomy labs all over India, what do you want to achieve? What is your end goal out of all of this?
See, it's more like a citizen science effort.
Okay.
Where the community comes at a play and the sciences, any sciences which I'm talking about, that science becomes as a medium of life.
Okay.
It's more like what the Constitution says, Article 15AH.
Okay.
To develop the scientific temper among the community, a spirit of inquiry and reform. And so that's how, I've been always thinking that tomorrow, maybe I'm not sure how many labs I will be able to build. If you ask me, I don't have a fixed dream that
Okay.
I want to build 500 labs. But I always had this one line, one district, one lab.
Okay. So basically, you want science to be interesting, science to be accessible, and more people should learn about science and be just more excited about science, right? So
Yeah.
then they can be excited about education overall.
Absolutely.
But your journey has been very interesting. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but then your father was a newspaper vendor. And then at the age of 11, you started saving your lunch ka paisa, lunch money. And then out of that money, you purchased like a telescope. So at the age of 11, okay, I can't even imagine that was something that I thought that I could do, that I could actually save some money and then get anything that I dreamt of, So what sparked your interest in space? Why do you look up in the sky?
So when I started looking up at the sky, so the first opportunity I got was to see through a telescope was at my school.
Okay.
And we got to see Saturn.
Okay.
And when we saw Saturn, the interesting part was that when I saw the Saturn, I never thought that actually we can see planets even in the night sky. The star that I saw every day was actually a planet. That literally, I was extremely surprised.
Okay.
I'm talking about this when I was 11.
Okay.
So that sparked an interest in me to keep looking up at the night sky.
But then your school had a telescope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They had a small telescope. But moreover, when I was, growing up, I used to see stars. But it's not compulsory that I knew what is there in the night sky. But I still had this passion to know what is beyond the solar system. And I went on my quest. And the only way I could increase my knowledge was a cyber cafe.
Okay.
So there is a cyber cafe in front of JNU. It's called Hilltop.
Okay.
It's closed now after COVID.
Okay.
But that was my epicenter of knowledge.
Okay.
Whatever I grabbed knowledge about astronomy. So I remember I used to take printouts of sky maps.
Okay.
And I took out I remember I took out 5 prints that day and I didn't had money. And that guy said that it's okay. I know that you keep looking at even in the night sky, and I don't know what do you want. He never understood what I look at the screen. Even I never understood. But I remember he said to me that I don't know what you see, but I'm sure someday you will find it what you're looking at. And
Wow.
at the same desktop, I discovered that asteroid.
Okay.
And I discovered that asteroid from that cyber cafe.
So for our viewers, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but you discovered a near Earth orbit asteroid at the age of 14?
When I was in 9th grade.
Okay. How did that happen?
So again, these are citizen science projects where people. So see, there are a lot of data right now available. So for even humans to look at so many asteroids, for a single human being or so many astronomers, it's a little impossible.
Okay.
So what they are doing is now they are opening these data for the public.
Okay.
Like websites like Zooniverse, that is dedicated towards citizen science.
Okay.
So you just open that website and you get data sets of images.
Who runs these websites? Is it?
It's a partnership between multiple people. Like there's this guy called Chris Lentott in University of Oxford who started this. Now there are a lot of observatories which are helping to acquire that data from all over the world. And I got this data from International Astronomical Search Collaboration in the US.
Okay.
And so what they do is that there is a software called Astrometrica. You have to install that and you get that license from you. It's for free.
Okay.
And then they send you data image sets, lot of image sets. You just have to run a simulation on your computer.
Okay.
And you have to see which are the objects which are moving in straight line with constant speed.
Okay.
So the interesting part about celestial objects is that they move in an orbital path and in straight line. They don't go like here and here and they move like in a straight curve.
Okay.
And with constant speed.
Okay.
But I also saw around 300 near Earth asteroids which are already discovered.
Okay.
One of them was not discovered. That was discovered by me. It took me around 3 months. And my quest still went on. I kept doing that work for the next 2-3 years. And so again, me seeing those 300 asteroids were also very important, because if any person, they keep watching those asteroids back to back, we get data sets that the asteroid, it's still in the orbit, which one is already discovered. I'm talking about the one which are already discovered. So now my asteroid, which I discovered, must be seen by someone regularly. So it's all community effort. Everybody is helping each other.
So for our audience, if they have to find an asteroid, how difficult or how easy is it? Can you just describe the process? What do they have to do?
So when I was doing in 2014, so at that time the softwares were not that, how do I say?
Advanced.
They were advanced.
Yeah.
They were more technical.
Okay.
Now things have become easy. Now
Do they have like a graphical interface, or is it all maths and everything?
maths.
Oh, it's maths.
Little maths.
Okay.
But now, earlier it never used to show whether this asteroid is discovered or not.
Okay.
Now, because of the advanced system and AI also, they are able to identify if the asteroid is already discovered or not.
Okay.
It has now become little easy to discover asteroids. But the survey of the sky is happening at a very large rate, right? Because there are huge telescopes in every day looking at the night sky from all over the world, big observatories. So they're discovering asteroids every single day. It has become easy now as compared to when I was doing it that time. So again, as example, I said Zooniverse. That you can use Zooniverse, or you can use...
So Zooniverse is free. You can download Zooniverse and run it on your computer. Yeah. Okay. Then?
And then there is International Astronomical Search Collaboration.
Okay.
And they are worldwide.
Okay.
They are also free. So these are free efforts.
So these two softwares, programs we have to download?
These are organizations actually.
Okay.
These are organizations.
Okay.
But you just need to participate in their, the campaigns that they're on.
Okay.
And they will give you the data.
They will give you the data.
Yeah.
With that data, now how does it look like? Like what all calculations you have to do? Can you just...
So basically, in my time, so there's a graph used to come where there is a graph which is happening, like there are simulations like these. I have to see how perfect the curve is being made on X and Y axis, right? When I used to click at any of the celestial objects moving. So earlier, so for example, there are 100 stars like pinpoints in the images. Now, though like one shot is of 30 seconds. Now 3 shots of approximately 1 minute 30 seconds is combined together, and that is run like a movie, like simulation like this, like star trails.
Okay.
So one object starts moving like this. Now I have to look carefully at the screen
Hmm.
to see which one is moving in a straight line.
Okay.
So it takes a lot of time. And I can, if I see there are 10, 15 objects which are moving in a straight line, I just click on it, name anything. For example, ABC 0001, ABC 0002, 0003. And whatever the curve comes up, I just need to get that like metadata and then send it to International Astronomical Research Collaboration back. Then they run the same simulation immediately back in their data sets. And they have better advanced systems because they are in the observatory. So they can identify and look at the preloaded data from back, whether this was seen or not. But now the computer are doing these, what I'm telling you already.
Okay.
Now you are getting more easy data. So
Okay.
now there is no human has to look at International Astronomical Research Collaboration, whether this asteroid is known or not. These things have become extremely advanced. Softwares have also become extremely easy.
Okay. So for everybody who's interested in space, a lot of times we think that just becoming an astronaut is the only career that one can think about in terms of space. But everything requires patience. You have to be very patient. You have to do a lot of calculations, and it's very exciting to find something, but that journey, everything, like any career that you choose, you have to go through that journey of patience where you have to look at your screen for 3 months to find objects which are just finding something from the clutter. So then you have to do that. There is this movie called The Contact, which is one of my favorite movies, where the protagonist spends like 20 years looking for one signal, 20 years just looking at the sky, and after 20 years she finds that signal. So a lot of times space, I feel, is something to do with patience. It teaches,
So if you look at the first picture of a black hole, which was captured, it took around 10 to 12 years for them to even stitch those images.
Correct.
So basically, if you see if I talk about something which is not visible in the space, which is black hole. What is a black hole? Black hole is a place where when a massive star dies. So a star has hydrogen and helium in it. At the core of a star, when the gases, they finished, both hydrogen and we call it fuel, nuclear fuel.
Correct.
When it finishes, the center, at the center, the pressure starts getting increased. It is so high that it starts getting stretched from edges, which is called event horizon.
Correct.
Those edges of a black hole is called event horizon. Those, like the event horizon, the horizon starts getting expanding together. They make a sinkhole. The interesting part is that you can never see a black hole.
All you see is the event horizon.
It's basically not even the event horizon. Everything is black. So what happens is that for an astronomer to detect that whether there is a black hole or not, you just have to sit for years and see slowly, pin by pin, if the light from a specific place is vanishing.
Correct.
Because everyone has heard that their light can never reach the black hole. Even if it goes, it can never come out.
Correct.
That is the reason. So if there is a black hole, slowly in coming years you will see that there is a light which the stars which are there have vanished off.
Okay.
So that's how you find a black hole.
Okay.
So if you see the first image of a black hole, you see a hole and you see orangish part of it.
Correct.
Those are the lights which are coming out of those stars.
So isn't that the accretion disk that's around the black hole? The orange parts?
No. Those are basically light which is getting reflected from the stars.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's because of gravitational lensing. So
yeah, correct.
So to imagine that we are sitting on Earth, we are looking into the sky. There is a black hole between lots of stars and us. So then the light that is coming from the stars is passing. It's not clashing with the black hole, but it is coming around that black hole and it is bending because of the black hole.
That's what Einstein said.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gravitational lensing. That's what Einstein also described. But Einstein similarly gave another theory that if two black holes collide,
correct,
that's when the gravitational waves happen. So if two black holes collide, the energy will be so high that there will be waves which will create whenever that wave will pass through any object. That object might vibrate or shrink.
So isn't that we discovered just now 1890?
Yeah. LIGO. Laser Interferometer Gravitational Observatory.
Correct.
In California. That's what they discovered. Now India is also building LIGO in Maharashtra, Hingoli.
So in ancient time, lots of kings used to be patrons of science, of astronomy. We have lots of jantar mantars all over India. Unfortunately, not all of them are in good condition right now. Only the one in Jaipur is in good condition, and we've been there. It's very fascinating to see what all we have achieved so far. Do you think that India had any sort of significant contribution in astronomy?
I have read in a lot of books that in last 1000 years, we have made a lot of architecture, especially even with the observatories, not only the Jantar Mantar. Jantar Mantar started between 1724 to 1734.
Okay.
And Maharaja Savai Singh of Jaipur built, the first one was built in Delhi. After that, it was built in Mathura, Ujjain, Varanasi, Delhi, Jaipur, 5 of them. And of course, the Jaipur and the Delhi one are the best. But moreover, if you see the observations that were taken at those observatories, even the Jantar Mantar was extremely precise by compared to any other instruments in that period.
Correct.
Right. So, and lot of observatories around the country. For example, the largest telescopes made just couple of few decades back, Venu Bapu Observatory or Kodaikanal Solar Observatory, built by Britishers only. But the observations that were taken were extremely precise. Like Kodaikanal Solar Observatory helped in also proving the gravitational theory of Einstein. Right. So just the theory was that the light, the gravitational lensing part, the Einstein mentioned it. But Einstein also said that the best way to watch that is when the total solar eclipse happens.
Okay.
And the observations were taken at the solar observatory in Tamil Nadu. So there are in last 1000 years, the observations that were taken are still intact, but the documentation is less.
Okay. Now you just said that solar eclipses are a good time to observe space or observe something related to the sun.
Yeah,
Why is it the best time?
Basically, so we need to discuss the difference between ground-based telescopes and space-based telescopes.
Okay.
So again, I have a telescope, I can watch the sun while I'm on Earth. Then why do I need to send a telescope outside the Earth? Right? Why do we need to spend so much of money? The only reason that when the light travels from sun to the Earth, it has a lot of different kind of X-ray, gamma ray, UV ray. But because of the Earth atmosphere, all these harmful rays, they get reflected back. Right? When a telescope goes out in the space telescope, they can observe these lights more precisely as compared to any other telescope on ground. But when a solar eclipse happens, the outer layer of the sun, which is known as corona, and you can study, and it's also known as diamond ring because it forms you can study the gravitational lensing at that time more perfectly because you only get the light at the edges.
Okay. So it's the best time to study the sun.
Yeah, the outer layer of
the outer layer of the sun. The
which
corona.
is known as the corona.
Okay. Got it. So you have spoken about Kalpana Chawla a lot. So I was listening to your TEDx talk, and over there you have mentioned that Kalpana Chawla was one of your heroes. And you were also in touch with Rakesh Sharma, the first Indian astronaut in space. So how did that happen? How did you get in touch with Rakesh Sharma?
So I had a friend in Bangalore, Leela Kalyaraman.
Okay.
And she has a house in Kunnur. And Rakesh Sharma lives in Kunnur.
Okay.
In a hill station. So she never knew that Rakesh Sharma lives there. One of the journal store informed her because she had a telescope and she used to travel in Kunnur to find those dark places.
Okay.
And one of the journal store informed that this is the place where Rakesh Sharma lives.
Okay.
She met him, became friends. And the first flight that I took back in 2016 in my life, that was Delhi to Coimbatore.
Okay.
Was to meet Rakesh Sharma.
Okay.
The first flight of my life. So I met him. I still remember, I could not recognize him at first instance. He was old. And the picture that I've always seen of him is when he was wearing the spacesuit.
Of course. Yeah.
Now he's much older.
Of course.
So it's not easy to distinguish between both of them.
Yeah.
But the conversation that went with him, I still remember. He said a very beautiful line. He said that, that you have shown the world the difference between stars and meteorites. Meteorites like me, one-shot wonder, and stars like you, who shine forever.
Wow.
That line is still with me. And the most beautiful part is that I asked him, matlab, you could even ponder even later whenever I met him couple of times. And I always wondered this man can live a great life. He was the first Indian person to go to space. And he still wanted to live in a hill station away from all the glamour. And it's beautiful. It's actually beautiful the way he lives his life. Nobody knows him. Even people in Kunnu do not know that he lives there.
But after meeting him, did you feel that he does not want that fame for a reason?
I don't think he needs that fame. If he had to, then he would have got it right now also.
Yeah.
But he's not into any of that media hype or something that he does not. But he likes to interact with people. I think he has got his saturation point.
Okay. So our next segment is called Three Things. It is sort of a rapid fire. They are not controversial questions like Coffee with Karan, but then just saying. So you have to answer these questions as short as possible in 1 or 2 lines. All right. So talking about space, 3 things that you will happen within our lifetime in space exploration that will blow our mind.
First, to reach Mars.
Okay.
And second, when a woman lands on moon. Third thing would be when India will send astronauts.
That's going to happen this year.
Yeah, this year.
This year, Gaganyaan.
They are testing it, but I think it will be most probably happening in 2025 only.
2025. All right, awesome. So India spends around 12,500 crores on ISRO. Why do you think this figure is justified?
The first thing I would say, I think that this figure is little less. It should be little double, around 20,000-25,000.
Okay.
Second, even if they have this budget, the great part is that they are extremely time efficient. They know how to do, when to do, and how in what short period of time.
Okay.
Third, they're extremely smart people. Even with limited resources, the institutes which work for them, like Physics Research Laboratory, Raman Research Institute, or Indian Institute of Astrophysics, the collaboration between the institutes and ISRO is incredible. I find it very good.
3 reasons why you think that Indian scientists choose to stay back in India rather than moving abroad.
First thing is that India is a developing country. There are a lot of opportunities. I understand that we have problems in funding because, again, today science is all about getting funding.
Correct.
So opportunities are there. You have to create it. Or sometimes you have to grab it.
Okay.
Second thing is that India has a large population. Again, science works on testing data. That data collection in India can happen at a large collection as compared to any other country.
Okay.
Right. Third thing, moreover, India is, of course, it's a youth country. So we have good research institutes.
Okay.
We do have a great research institutes. If we put little more efforts, we can make those institutes as some of the premier.
Okay. So we've said lots of positive things, but 3 suggestions that you have for the government so that we can improve.
First thing is that we should pay the research assistants and the people who are working on time.
Okay.
The stipend which comes to PhD students are less and they come late. So the enthusiasm goes down. Second thing is that the government should have a collaborative effort between the bureaucracy and the scientific community.
Okay.
The departmental interest should be at the same line.
Okay.
So the bureaucracy should sit and meet the scientists who they are making the further policy. Like you make a policy, but you don't consult them. That is a little.
It doesn't feel like there is any conversation between.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Third thing, the government should and maintain a data, like a website, dedicated website for all the institutes.
Okay.
What they're up to.
Okay.
I feel like there are so many things happening, but I don't know where I should grab those information.
Okay.
Right. What is specifically what institutes are doing, what they are not doing. How should I get, even not only with the research parts of them, even admission part of it. There should be one single platform, like one window for all the scholarships, for all the, I'm talking about space exploration, scientific exploration, plus we should help moreover young people to come on board, to come up and even form policies, because there are better suggestions to make. I think students who are JRF or even PhD, they are perfect candidates to form policies.
Okay. 3 scientists, dead or alive, that you would love to meet.
First is, of course, Kalpana Chawla. Second is Einstein. And third is Galileo Galilei.
Okay. So because you speak about telescopes so much, if you meet Galileo, what would you ask him?
I would ask him that how did he had this courage to go against the world?
Yeah.
Like when the entire Roman Catholic Church said that no, you are wrong.
Hmm.
That one man stood against the entire, I would say, universe, because at that time universe was at the center. Like
Correct.
Earth was at the center of the universe.
Yeah.
But that man said, no, that's not correct. So Galileo was the first person. So I wanted to see, if I had the time machine, I would go back and look at Galileo. And the first time he saw those 4 moons of Jupiter, which are known as Galilean, Io, Ganymede, Europa, Callisto. So he discovered those 4 moons of Jupiter. I just want to see that glimpse. Because when I saw Saturn for the first time, did Galileo also feel the same?
If I meet Galileo, I'll just apologize on behalf of humanity, because it took humanity 300 years after Galileo passed away to issue an apology to say that, okay, we were incorrect. They, I think, apologized somewhere in the 90s, if I'm not wrong, like 1990s, that, okay, Galileo was correct, we were incorrect. Again, one more question, that if you meet Einstein, what would you ask him?
I would rather sit on a park, like sit under a tree and just discuss with him life. I would just tell him that you were an average student. What drives you? What is physics for you? I would rather speak to him on long length about light. How does light travels? What do you think about light?
Okay.
More physics stuff.
Okay. Now, because you are speaking about light, I have to ask, like, I'm going off script. What is it about light that fascinates you?
The way light travels in the sky, in the universe. Imagine a thing which is traveling at the speed of 3 lakh kilometer per second. And nothing has been ever developed. I just want to learn. Even I'm on a quest to know more. What is that 300,
The speed limit.
The speed limit.
Yeah.
Like when was the first light that came in the universe? So again, light is everything in the universe, because everything is, whatever is being emitted is light.
Correct.
But how did the first light originated? But then again, question comes up: how did the first hydrogen and helium attach? Like the nuclear fission happened.
Correct.
So these are the questions which always drives me. I search on the internet, I read books, but there's somewhere, down the lane, I feel like I just want to see one time light traveling. If I go in space, and if I be an astronaut, if I go to International Space Station, I would rather just keep looking at sun.
At the sun. And get all the radiation.
No, at that time, inside the International Space Station, the
Will
space
be, of
suits and
course,
everything, it's fine. But to see that light going and touching the edge of the earth, that is something
That's
most
your dream.
beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone. Now I'm gonna host the second part of the podcast. Now we'll move on to something that can be about careers and about India in space. So let's come to India in space. The space sector is poised for a lot of growth. I've read a lot of articles that there are a lot of startups coming up in this space. You have your own startup in the space education space. So can you tell me about your thoughts on India in space?
Since the time that ISRO has done the privatization of space and a new committee has been formed to do that, there are a lot of startups like satellite startups, people who are building now rockets, reusable rockets also. It's a new boom, of course, it's a new boom. Not only this, but there have been a rise like startups in the field of education also, like one like me, which works in the villages to make sure rural education covers the rural part of it. So there is a good improvement on the side of education plus technology and innovation also. But this is also making Indian space policy to get better, time to time. Because government, so now there are a lot of hackathon happening, which is on related to startup. Even ISRO is now doing a lot of quizzes with school students, sketch competition, painting competition. That's one way to create that, that scientific temperament among the people, to have a new idea, to build up a new, community, a spirit of inquiry, as Article 15AH says. So that's one good way. And the Indian startup ecosystem is also more experimenting in this phase right now. Majority of founders that I see are pretty young, very young and dedicated people. It's good.
Right. Now, that was about the startup space. What do you think about the work we're doing in terms of the missions that we've sent out? We just had a very successful 2023, so to speak. when we had the Chandrayaan 3 and we had Aditya L1. So, what do you think of the efforts that we're doing in terms of space or maybe in what ISRO is doing?
I have both merits and demerits of it. Merits is that yes, we are doing pretty well as compared to many space agencies. But one of the most important thing is that science has to be little, in a manner science has to work where all the space agencies should coordinate. It's not like they are not coordinating. But I sometimes feel like that we are more focusing sometimes on being the first. I feel that's my demerit about it. I'm not criticizing it, but but I feel like that we should do something new. And let me elaborate how. It's not like that we have never been to the moon. We have been. There are 11 Apollo missions which have been there. So many times we have already, Chandrayaan 1 also went and it did remarkable discoveries that nobody did. Going on South Pole, yes, of course, a place which is always darker. We have a lot of equipments from even ground-based telescopes can detect what are activities happening on the South Pole. So that's a great way to do. Ultimately, it gives us a good data if we go there.
Right.
But moreover, we should focus on something new, like something more on research part of it. So, like for example, sending astronauts to space, great decision. That's a one way to start new space missions. But we also need to make sure, as of now, I have heard in the news that we are trying to build a new space station.
Okay.
India is trying to do that. I'm not sure how correct is it, but I've heard that they are planning. But we already have a lot of space stations. We don't need to.
Right.
We just need to partner with them, which I think we are already doing. So, both merits and demerits are part of it. So I think we are doing good. But moreover, we need to see that what are the important aspects of the universe that we need to discover. For example, the mission which are going on Venus,
Right.
Shukriyan, the
Right.
spacecraft.
Right.
There is already spacecraft which have been to Venus.
Right.
We've already done the work.
Okay.
So can we think of something new? Maybe let's send a spacecraft to Jupiter's Europa. Though
Right.
NASA is already planning to send it, but something little different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But Aditya L1, especially I will mention
Yeah.
this. Aditya L1 is a remarkable achievement of
Right.
ISRO. I think a space agency to send a spacecraft to nearby sun takes, of course, a lot of efforts and incredible research. Again, because everything, 99% of mass of the solar system belongs to one single object, that
Right.
is the sun.
The sun. Right.
Yeah. So if we cover the aspect and if we do a research about the most heavenly body present in our solar system, it gives you a lot of what we read about cosmic microwave background in physics.
Right. Has the Aditya L1 mission started collecting any data? Has it sent back anything? The sun is a very fascinating and for a hot country like India, oftentimes very irritating object in the sky. So something like the Aditya L1 will kind of make us in a way more connected to the sun because we'll actually be able to study it. So what's the data that's come out of it? Can you tell us?
Aditya L1 has captured, so basically the orbit that it has to reach has already been placed into.
Right.
And it has captured the pictures of sun in different layers. When I say different layers, they have also seen the sun in X-ray, gamma ray, UV ray. And the data is being researched by the Raman Research Institute in Bengaluru, IIA, and Physics Research Laboratory. So data has come back. Even the pictures which are clicked of the sun has been also posted on social media. But the research papers are still not out. What are the research work has been done yet? I think it will take approximately another 4-5 months to get a concrete observations of whether it's not about a successful mission or unsuccessful mission. There's nothing like that. It's more about a lot of institutes have come together to build that spacecraft. In every institutes like IISc, IIA, and they have IUCA, they all have some kind of instruments placed in there to research what they wanted to research.
Right.
It will take approximately 1 year of observations to come up.
But has any good research paper or something very interesting insights that have come out of the Aditya L1 mission?
So basically there are coronal mass ejections, we call it. It is basically at the sun's outer layer atmosphere, which is the corona. there are large expulsions happens of plasma and magnetic field.
Okay.
They go everywhere in the solar system, and some of them reach the Earth.
Okay.
So Aditya L1 has been successfully been able to study. Like some of the solar winds came on 10th and 11th February.
Oh, okay.
So it has easily detected and made even the graphs of how like the impacts are happening on Earth. So these are the so basically again Aditya L1 will play a major role in studying the outer layer atmosphere and the solar wind impacts on Earth.
How does a solar wind impact the Earth?
See, solar winds are extremely harmful.
Right.
If big ball of fire airs are just traveling across the universe, if anything which comes close to it, it passes, they will try to burn.
Oh, okay.
But thankful to the Earth's atmosphere, ozone layer specifically, it is reflecting back. But if solar winds are heavy, then everyone can be dead.
So now we'll come to careers in space. I think a lot of students, especially, are very confused about what careers they should choose. More than students, sometimes parents are confused on what careers their kids should choose. So, can you tell us what careers Indian students have in the field of space?
Let's start from basics. If a kid is in 10th grade, if they must, and even if they don't, that's okay, but they should choose sciences for their science stream. And the interesting part is that even if you have computer science, even if you have biology, you still can be a part of the field. How? We need geologists
Okay.
to study the surface of any planet.
Right.
We need an astrobiologist to
Okay.
study the life cycles, even the chemistry, organic chemistry we call it, of any planet. We need biologists for that. We need like people from the field of chemistry to study those chemical reactions. So it's not only limited that, oh, I know physics, I know maths, I can be an astronomer. I need a computer engineer. I
Right,
need a
to run
computer
all of those
to run the
softwares. Yeah, yeah.
softwares. So the most interesting part is that if you belong to any field, you can join the field of astronomy.
Right.
Even
so-
the medicines, because even the doctors, they play an important role,
Right.
right? To send a human being to space.
Right. So, are you telling me that if, for example, a student is very interested in chemistry and they pursue chemistry after their 12th standard, they can get a chance to work in, say, ISRO on some of the missions or maybe the upcoming missions to study what are the chemicals that they can find on
Absolutely.
different
For
planets?
example, we are sending a spacecraft towards Venus now, and that's a gaseous. It has highest temperature. It has multiple carbon dioxide gases. We need people from the field of geology, chemistry to come up and study those reactions which are happening. So, and if any mission which goes to any of the celestial bodies, like even planets, we need people from every kind of field to come up. When it comes to when India will start sending humans to space, we will have all kind of people, a physiotherapist, to a dentist, to every single person who will come, will have to work with ISRO to figure out the body and to figure out how the body is performing and how everything is happening. So that's the beauty about space. We need all kind of people.
Right. So then, for all the students that are listening to this podcast, regardless of the field that you finally choose to specialize in once you've taken science, there is scope for you all to actually work in the Indian space sector. So keep at it and don't think you have to do the same 4 or 5 different professions after you join science. There's scope for a lot of different professions. My next question is, how can a person work with ISRO?
Yeah, there's always a myth that people from IIT get a direct entry, or people from people from IIT only get selected. I will tell you, majority of the people who are working at ISRO are none of them from IITs. They are from average schools, right? So to work at it, so there are multiple jobs, engineering jobs, right, and chemical jobs. We all kinds of jobs. So basically, to study again, you can go to any colleges. Like, it's not important you need to study from IISc or IUCA or IIA. Go to any good school and have, I would say, you need to have good marks to get there and do any kind of engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. We need every single engineers out there to help ISRO. So if you are any engineer, computer engineer, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, you're welcome. And does not matter your college. It all matter because it's not about that's the place which is working for the country. It is also about integrity. Moreover, so to get a job at ISRO, they do take out advertisements. There are exams also, but if you are from colleges like IISc, IUCA, IIA, they work with ISRO because they have to build payloads for them. So if you're working, if you're even studying anything, PhD, MSc. So for example, there is no BSc in astronomy in India.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the colleges, top colleges like IISc, IIA, IUCA, RRI, PRL, they do not offer undergrad level astronomy. They only offer
Alright.
master's level, PhD level.
Right.
So there is no astronomy as undergrad. So again, there are different type of astronomy. So I'm talking about observational astronomy. There is no college degree as of now, but there are universities which are planning to bring that. But in other countries, there is BSc in astronomy. In India, you need to go to BSc physics
Okay.
if you want to go to the path of astronomy.
Right,
So you go to BSc physics, then you do MSc in astrophysics. I'm
Oh,
telling you
okay.
one path. There can be
Right,
multiple.
right, right.
Maybe you can study BSc in mathematics and go to astrophysics. So you can switch. You can also study economics and then go to astrophysics. Nobody has there's no kind of barriers that okay, you have to do physics, then you have to do mathematics, then only. No. Study anything. Just be good at it. And there are jobs available very easily.
We have a lot of these observatories in India. I remember when Abhiraj traveled to Udaipur, I found that there was an observatory there.
Yeah, solar observatory.
We also have an observatory in Ladakh in Hanle. So can a normal person who has nothing to do with space visit these places and see anything? How does it work in any of these observatories?
You have to, for example, let's take an example of Indian Astronomical Observatory at Hanle in Ladakh. So Hanle is operated by Indian Institute of Astrophysics in Bangalore.
Okay.
So visitors are allowed. They have homestays, they have everything. You can go to the observatory if they are doing specific work at that time. They don't enter. But if the observatory is closed, and if you can go outside and you can just even stay at the night. But if they are capturing or if they are doing some work, and the interesting part is that the telescope is in Ladakh, but the entire data is transmitted to Bangalore.
Okay.
So there are engineers there who are operating those telescopes, but the data is going to Bangalore because all the scientists are sitting in Bangalore.
Right.
Because again, the entire institute cannot go to Ladakh.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So the data transmission happens to Bangalore and many other institutes. So it's all every telescope has its own way. So India recently did a phenomenal work in building India's first dark sky sanctuary
Okay.
in Hanle.
Okay.
So Hanle is now under the few square kilometers. They have said that there is no artificial light
Oh.
will be switched on at the certain time.
Okay.
And there are norms which are created for wildlife, for the taxis, and you need a special permit to go in those villages. They are specially created. Like for example, there can be no street lights
Okay.
there. There can be no light which are hanging outside the house. Everything should be outside. There should be no white light. There should be the light should be little yellow in color. So and majority of the lights they are trying is to do in red. So like nothing should be harmed in observational way. So it's more like if you build a dark sky sanctuary, it more means like a place where you can see stars,
Okay.
dark skies.
Right.
So India has built their first dark sky sanctuary in Hanle.
Right.
It was a remarkable achievement.
That
one
sounds
step
so
towards
interesting.
yeah, that's one step towards conserving the night sky.
Right.
With the vanishing of forest areas, with the vanishing of development of urban development, we have stopped. I think in the next 50 years, I'm extremely worried that I don't think that we will be able to watch the Milky Way
Oh.
in the next 5 decades. Slowly, everything will vanish.
Right. Just because there's too much of light
Yeah.
pollution.
You won't believe me, somebody showed me in 1960s, they captured a Milky Way from Delhi.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, I have seen a picture from Humayun's tomb. They have captured a Milky Way in 1960s from Delhi.
Wow.
So now imagine, and now you can't even you can only see moon or Jupiter. That's it.
Yeah.
brightest
Max
star.
3 or
Couple of
4
stars.
stars. That's it.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I think same is happening with Bombay also.
Yeah, sometimes on exceptionally clear nights, then we can see stars, but it's not like a full sky of
Yeah.
stars, but some of them. So, Astrolab that we built in Buxa, so Bijnoor, वहाँ पे the chances of me going and meeting the DM or anyone else, the magistrates or anyone else, is so low. So how is it? What are your experiences?
So see, again, there are good and bad parts of every job. If you won't believe, all the bureaucrats that I've met and all the bureaucrats who have worked with me, all of them are young people. The like below 16 batch, like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Right.
Which means the bureaucrats were just in
Very,
service
very
of 5
recent
years.
pass outs. Yeah.
Why? Because they're young.
Right.
They know the value of education. Their priority is education. They want to focus on education and new merits. I will tell you, I have found 3 diseases in bureaucracy. 3 diseases. First is picture getting clicked. Second is desire to be visible.
Right.
And third is credit hunger.
Huh.
Not only bureaucracy, but it works in journal life also. But it's bureaucracy is all about, see, there are 2 things. Okay, your integrity is good. You are a good man. But you are so proud of your integrity that you don't want to work on ground. You are like, oh, I'm honest. That's what the service needs. So having integrity, have good intentions, plus doing the hard work. Not every bureaucrat has that.
Right. So basically you're saying ki if an officer might be like, ki, I am honest. I don't take any bribes. So I'm just going to sit in my office and be like, But I will not step on ground and visit the villages that I'm supposed to visit and talk to the people and actually do anything on ground. So there are people like that also.
There are. So there is this thing called COG. It's basically a government phone number.
Okay.
A government phone which is given to every single officer.
Okay.
Now, there's a complaint which goes in the bureaucracy that majority of the officers don't pick their calls on COG. Now, the thing is that, again, the complaints are so extremely high volume rate that it is impossible for one single man to cater lack of people in a district. But then why, the question is that then why there are so many complaints? Because again, you are honest, but you're below people who are below. They're not, their integrity is not there.
Right. So then people below you will harass people. So फिर people are complaining about your juniors or your subordinates ki ye pareshan kar rahe, ye kaam hua nahi hai,
But
something
I think,
like that.
you know, if your integrity is solid, no, and if you make it extremely clear that not a one single rupee should be taken. Nobody can even dare in their entire life to even take a single rupee. You won't believe I have established 200 labs, 210 labs, and I have not paid a single rupee of bribe. And the only reason I work with very young people, very, very young people. They're very passionate. And there is a myth that bureaucracy is corrupt. I think 70% of IS officers are honest. Just imagine, you study 12 hours a day to get a job. You've worked so hard. I know bureaucrats who have spent 4 years of their life just doing one thing. And for them to take bribes, integrity nahi maanti. Like their integrity does not allows them. I'm telling you, like I have rarely have seen bureaucrats who ask for money. And the only people who have asked me for money are state civil officers.
So
which belong from the state, not from UPSC.
Oh, so these are right. So this is why this sort of session is important, because a lot of people in India don't know how things work.
Yeah.
And we will just say कि नहीं वो बाबू लोग corrupt है, लेकिन वो बाबू लोग कौन है?
Exactly.
Like, are they IAS people? So when you say state civil people, they're actually in employ of state government.
Yeah.
So state government employees.
Exactly.
Like these are the people who run behind government jobs. Like that's what, na? Like when you hear ki for a peon's job there'll be lakhs of people applying. It is like these people who are actually asking you for money.
So for example, every state has their own civil services. For example, Assam has Assam Civil Service.
Right.
UP has PCS.
Okay.
And take, for example, Karnataka has Karnataka Civil Services.
Right.
And every state has their own civil services.
Okay.
From those civil services, for example, you must have heard SDM.
Right, I've heard the
SDM.
name.
So SDMs majority of the SDMs are state civil services, 90% of them. But when a UPSC guy, like when you crack UPSC, when you go to Labazna and done your training, the first posting that you get is joint magistrate. Joint magistrate is basically SDM only. But that is for how many year? Maximum to maximum 2 years.
Okay.
You know what is the year a state civil services remains an SDM? Approximately 1 decade.
1 decade. Okay.
A bureaucrat, under training only, maximum they can remain for 2 years. So an IAS officer has to be transferred.
Okay.
Maximum within 2 years. There is a rule book. That's what the rule says.
Oh.
So it's not like that. So you must have heard that these IAS officers are getting
They keep getting transferred
It's
every...
a routine sometimes.
Oh, okay.
It's a routine transfers.
All right.
Right. So for example, now elections are coming. You will see all the states transferring the bureaucrats. Those are routine transfers sometimes.
Okay.
Because election commission says that how can a district magistrate can be a bureaucrat in the same districts for 2 years?
Okay.
So like more than 2 years ho gaye. Election commission is saying have to remove this officer. So these are routine transfers majority of the times. But now comes with the political pressure. Do political pressure comes on them? Yes and no both. All depends on you, your integrity. Whether you want to say yes or no. I'll tell you an instance, won't name anybody. A friend of mine, very close friend of mine, very good friend, he's a bureaucrat from in UP. And he got a call from that sitting deputy chief minister right now.
Okay.
And said that the building that you are going to demolish belongs to one of my friend. But he told her it's a high court order. I have to abide. And the deputy chief minister puts little pressure. He does not say don't go and build it. Says that just look after it. What do you mean by look after it? When the high court has given the order. And then he says that I cannot do it. If you think that I'm doing wrong, then tell the chief minister to transfer me. Right? And nothing happens. He sends the bulldozer and just demolishes the entire property. So again, the thing is that I will tell you how corruption plays a role. For example, MLA gets a fund for 5 crores per year.
Right.
One of the most MLA's favorite work is high masking light.
Sorry?
High masking light. Street lights that you see.
Acha.
The light which has 3-4.
Yeah.
The one you see in the stadium.
Okay.
They're called high masking light.
Okay.
One high masking light's rate maximum is 60,000.
Okay.
Depends on an average it comes for 60,000. But per quote it goes approximately around 1.7 lakhs.
Okay.
20% cut of MLA, 10% cut of ADM or 10% cut of JE, PWD, like that, the code goes. Now, the access of MLA MP funds, MP lads, the district magistrate has this access.
Okay.
Only they can move the file. So imagine the bureaucracy is so powerful that even if you're MLA, you cannot even spend your budget.
Oh, okay.
It is a district magistrate who has the authority. But a district magistrate does not like to interfere between MLA's funds.
Okay.
Because he knows why the person has come in the power to do that. So they're like, if the file has come, sign it, close it.
Right. So, can you share a lot of very interesting stuff on your Instagram stories talking about the railways, the make of the car based on the numbers, interesting stuff about arms and ammunition, and all based on your travels. Can you share a few interesting anecdotes? Because this is a life that most of us who stay in cities have no access, no sort of exposure to.
So let's start fun facts from plane.
Sure.
Let me tell you 2-3 fun facts from plane. For example, the door of the aircraft is the cockpit's door is bulletproof.
Oh.
And you have 2 hidden CCTV cameras in flight that are capturing you and you don't know about it. And the access is given to the pilot.
Okay.
If somebody knocks the door, is pushing, they can see who. So as soon as you enter, you will see, for example, you entered. And when you see above the lavatory, there is a camera.
Oh.
It made like, it does not look like a camera. And when you sit on front of the cockpit's door, it has a hole. That is a camera. Access is given to the pilot.
I am going to watch for all of this in the next flight.
Second thing, interesting thing is that if you go on certain seats, like there is, next time when you go on a flight, notice when you reach around 10 or 10th, 11th row, you will see a triangle marked on the window.
Okay.
Yeah, like a black color triangle marked. It's called William Shatner's seat. Basically, it tells the cabin crew and the pilot that this is the seat which gives the full view of the engine. So if they have to see the engine, if there's some malfunction, they have to go to that triangle seat and immediately look outside. They can see the engine. In smaller airports, before a takeoff, there is an air bullet which is fired in the air to remove the birds.
Right.
And even in the Mumbai airport, I have seen most of the times, whenever there is a takeoff landing happens, you will see that there are huts made near the runway. There are people sitting there.
Okay.
They're just looking at the movement of the birds.
All right.
Another interesting thing is that whenever an Indigo aircraft lands, they switch off one of their engines to save fuel. And that is dangerous. But DGC has multiple times have said that this is wrong. But there is no rule book which is right now defining. So government might tweak the laws. So they will always switch off one of their engines.
Right. So basically, you're saying that now the government might put it in law. You are not supposed to do this.
All right. So I'm back and we are into our very last section. This section is called Kya Farak Padta Hai? But since our podcast is in English, we will just call it But Why? All right. So I'll ask you a few questions and you can just give me some sort of reasoning that what difference do these things make. All right. So, but why open more than 200 astronomy labs in villages of India?
Because it empowers the community and rural education that every kid can dream and they can be the next Kalam from those labs.
But why do you want to work with the government?
Because they hold the majority of the schools in their hand. The most marginalized people who come to the schools are in government schools. And if you want to really impact, if you really want to create equality in society, then why only astronomy is limited to cities? Why there is not a planetarium in a village? There is no planetarium. Only planetariums are only available in major cities, tier 1 cities. No tier 2 cities or tier 3 cities has planetarium. Why? Because it is often believed that you do not have the education to even learn about what being showed in the planetarium.
But why are you so confident about Indian villages?
Because India starts from there.
Okay. That's okay. Last question. All right. Very last question for the entire podcast. But why look up at the stars?
Because we all are made up of stars. Every single element in our body, this mic, this everything, every single thing which is kept here has come from space. All these elements that we have in the periodic table, in the lives, have come from the asteroid impacts. So stars have told us about how the humanity came into existence. If there is no astronomy, if there is no study of astronomy, we can never figure out about human origin. We can never figure out about how life came into place.
So knowing about stars is about knowing more about your own origins. It's about knowing more about humanity. And it's about knowing more about yourself.
Absolutely. As I always say a line in Hindi, अगर धरती इतनी बड़ी है तो फिर आप कितने बड़े हैं?
Right. One last question. Does the size of the universe make you feel small or make you feel big?
Absolutely. I always feel like I'm nothing. My job, my passion has made me empathetic, humble. Like I'm always like I'm nothing. The moment I look at Jupiter or Saturn through a telescope now, I know there's nothing. Saturn has 9 rings classified as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. And the distance between one ring to another is on an average is 4,000 kilometers. So imagine a distance like that.
Right.
And an asteroid, if just makes an impact, everything is like, even a small asteroid can make a huge impact on Earth. So knowing that there are much bigger things out there, my ego and my life is nothing in front of the universe. Stephen Hawking once said somewhere that even if you spend 60, 70 years of your life somewhere looking in the universe, you won't even see 0.1% of the universe in your entire life.
Right.
So universe makes you feel that, it feels you humble. Like my field always make me peaceful. Astronomy is very peaceful subject. You are in your own world. When the world sleeps, you are on the computer looking at some other world.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Being the first podcast, I hope you had a good enough experience.
Absolutely. Now though, I'm just waiting for food.
And you're just waiting for food. All right. Chalo. Thank you so much. And yeah. Thank you so much for watching this conversation. Tell us how we can improve. We have an email ID dedicated so that you can give us feedback. If you have any suggestions in terms of which guests we can have next, tell us over there. Thank you so much for watching, क्योंकि आपके support से हमें फर्क पड़ता है.